Well, today's episode of the Hop Nerd Podcast, we're going to do a bit of a part 4 on this Back to the Basics. So we're going to take it a little bit farther this time. We're going to talk about growing human and organization performance. Really, we're going to be talking about the hop journey. So here we go. Let's jump in. Welcome to another episode of the Hop Nerd Podcast. I am your host, Sam Goodman, the Hop Nerd LLC. Make sure you head over to the website, www.thehopnerd.com for fundamentals, learning teams, support, and so much more. Send us an email, thehopnerd@gmail.com, and be sure to follow along with us on all things social media at The Hop Nerd or at Sam Goodman. Welcome to today's episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Hop Nerd Podcast. I am your host, Sam Goodman of, as we said, the Hop Nerd Podcast and the Hop Nerd LLC. Well, I don't know that I'm the host of the Hop Nerd LLC. I guess I'm the owner and the consultant of the Hop Nerd LLC. I'd strategically avoid the use of CEO because I think it sounds kind of dumb. I don't know. That's just me. If it's me, myself, and I guess I'm the CEO of myself, the Hop Nerd LLC. I don't know. Well, there we go. That just sounded a little bit better. I had to quickly hit pause. You like that little quick cut? Because now listen. Okay, what you're not hearing is... So if you ever hear an episode and you're like, what the hell is that? I'm not hanging out on a windy night out on like a rocky point in a cabin recording these. That's my air purifier here in the office because I live in the desert and dust bothers my sinus and my allergies. So I keep this thing running at like full blast. And sometimes I forget to turn it off. So I apologize. But today we are going to jump into some more basics. This is, I guess, part 4. We've done 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to do part 4 of some of the basics, and not so much the basics of human and organizational performance, but I guess basics of the hop journey. Hold on, let me get a little swig of cold brew here as we get ready. Now, I'm having a delicious cactus liquor cold brew from a place here around the corner called Anthem Coffee. It used to be called Ebb and Flow. It was a nice little local coffee joint that they sold, and they didn't sell it to some like mega corporation, just to like another family that already had some coffee joints. And actually, I met the guy not that long ago. He was out handing out samples in the drive-thru, which was kind of cool to see the CEO back. He's probably like an actual CEO. To see the CEO out there handing out samples of their mango smoothies. And I regularly see him in the drive-thru here when we go through, which is kind of cool. That's pretty neat to me. But the original business, if you know, like those, if you've seen these hats, like the dad hats, and not the style, but the brand, the ones that are like Dad Gang and like all that, they've become kind of hip. In fact, I haven't ordered one. But I'm thinking about getting one because they're just kind of slick. These like Dad Gang, Dad this, like they're super stylish. They're stylish hats. And you know, I am a hat nerd, pretty much as I am a hop nerd. My walls are just layered with hats. I buy hats, stickers, and coffee cups pretty much everywhere that I go. It's just a funny side rant there, but I am drinking a delicious cactus liquor cold brew, which if you want to learn more about maybe some of the, I don't know if it's learning, I guess it is. If you want to learn more about the coffee that I enjoy, over on the Hop Nerd Sideshow, the supplemental podcast to this podcast, we talk about pretty much everything else. I had Clive Lloyd over there. You got to learn a bit more about Clive. We got plans for some other folks in the community and just whoever I feel like bringing on to get to know folks a little bit better and not talk so much about work. And the point with the coffee is I do cold brew reviews every episode. We do cold brew reviews. And here recently, I just started doing this little segment. It's official. It's a segment now called What's on the Shelf. You know, all the crap that's behind me, the little thrift store that lives behind me in the background of the podcast. I've got a ton of questions about what's this, what's that. Tell us about what's on your shelf. That's so cool. It was referred to the other day as the iconic Hop Nerd background. I'll take it. I'll take it. I like it. Love it. Got to have more of it. I'll definitely take that. So if you want to learn more cold brew or find out what the heck is on the shelf, be sure to go over and search the Hop Nerd Sideshow wherever you find podcasts. If you're on Spotify, you'll also find the Hop Nerd Official. It's the official playlist. You'll find that there as well. And back to me being the CEO, Thunder Lightning CEO of the Hop Nerd LLC. I do help companies with human and organizational performance. Yeah, and learning teams, everything from fundamentals to keynote sessions to helping to facilitate operational learning and consulting and guidance and kind of everything in between. You know, if you hang around here, that my fall is starting to get a bit jam-packed. I'm going to be at the Hawkeye on Safety Conference. I think that's through the University of Iowa coming up on September 5th. I'm going to be at the Arizona ASSP, the 2024 Health and Safety Summit here in the beautiful and sunny Phoenix, Arizona. That one's kind of cool. It's in my backyard on September 27th. We have some public stuff, more public stuff coming up with me and the awesome Steve Scott doing Hop and Operational Learning in Las Vegas on October 8th and 9th. So if you want to come learn more about Hop, learn about how to facilitate operational learning, or you want to send your teams or some other folks from your organization, that is an open registration course, 2 days in the beautiful Sin City, Las Vegas, 6 minutes from the airport, just far enough away from the strip to where you won't get in trouble with work, but close enough to where if you want to go after class, you can definitely go drop some nickels in some slot machines if you want to. If you want to learn more about that, or you just want to go ahead and sign up, send Steve an email, steve@hopimprovement.com, or you can learn more at thehopnerd.com/event. I'm going to be in North Carolina coming up pretty soon for a few days around the Raleigh area. I've got a whole bunch of online stuff coming up and stuff here and there and everywhere, all across the country. Fortunately, I love my international travel, but getting to spend most of the fall here in the U.S., which is going to be a blast. But where I'm going with this is it's getting stinking busy this fall. So if you need a hand, the flexibility around the dates, it's slowly, maybe not so slowly, going away. So if you have very specific dates that you need a hand, let me know, and let me know soon. thehopnerd@gmail.com. It's super duper easy. You send me an email, I'll send you some information. If you want to jump on a call, we'll make that happen, and we'll get you on the calendar, and we'll go. We'll have a great time with workshops and keynotes and consulting and facilitating operational learning and whatever you're looking for, whatever help you need on your human and organizational performance journey, whether you're just getting started or you've been doing this for a number of years. The Hop Nerd LLC can help you get started and or go farther. If you want to learn more about that, just check out thehopnerd.com, or again, just send me an email, thehopnerd@gmail.com, and we'll make something happen. Speaking of the website, the merch shop is always popping. We're always adding new stuff over there. So if you're looking for some cool t-shirts, some cool hats, I'm a t-shirt nerd just as much as I'm a hat nerd and just as much as I'm a hop nerd. So we're trying to bring you some non-sucky designs. Yeah, they're created by local artists. Some of them are created by Avery. Some of them are created by me. Some of them are created by friends. It's just cool. And tons of like sticker sheets and anything that you're looking for, you can pretty much find over there. And make sure you check out the free resources page, places to download a bunch of stuff, totally free of charge. Take it, use it, make it better. You know the rule. If you make it better, send it back to me so I can upload the better version. And make sure you sign up for the mailing list. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, click mailing list. Super easy. Just drop in your email. Now, last but not least, before we jump into this episode, because it's a pretty hefty one. I don't know how long it's going to go. We'll see. But we did launch some basics of Hop and operational learning teams online training. A lot of folks have been asking for online training. It is just something I haven't got around to yet. Until now. Hold on. I'm going to quick cold brew. This cactus liquor is, well, I'm not going to tell you. If you want to learn, there you go. How's that? How's that for a little bit of building a little bit of suspense and intrigue? Go check out the Hop Nerd Sideshow. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you're looking for something that's not hop and safety and leadership talk. It's just everything else. But by demand, I built this Hop and Learning Teams Basics course. You can find it over on the website. You just go to the website, thehopnerd.com, click online. It'll take you to the provider that we use. It's like video-based stuff, just about all of it. There's a ton of downloads and things like that. So it is presentation-based. There's some videos that I've kind of strung in there as well, but it's all strung in there. It's all videos, really. It's me teaching you human and organizational performance and learning teams, the basics of. It's a great entry-level starter course for folks in your organization or for you, if that's something that would interest you. Now, there's a bunch of downloads that come with that as well. One of those being a digital copy of 10 Ideas to Make Safety Suck Less. If you haven't read the book, go check it out on Amazon. Or if you're interested in the book and the class, just get the class, unless you're just super amped about getting a physical copy of the book, like an actual, bound physical copy. Just go get the class and you get the book completely for free. And then if you take the class and you read the digital PDF copy of the book and you like that, and you really like it and you want to show us some love, then go buy the physical copy of the book and gift it to somebody. There you go. But this is all to tell you that there is online learning available. I'm planning some stuff there. We'll see some more courses pop up over time, but that is the starting point for that. And speaking of starting points, check out Starting Points cards. They're available over in the merch shop. There you go. Yeah. And some really cool stuff happening there that I can't really get into too much. Building suspense, building intrigue. There we go. I'm going to shut up and let's just jump in to part 4 of the basics of human and organization performance. And in particular, this episode, we are talking about the HOP journey. Here we go. I don't know. I'm in a singing mood today. I think it's this Cactus Liquor Cold Brew. It has got me all kinds of jazzed up. Absolutely. And I'm super pumped to talk to you about Growing Hop. Now, over on the website under the blog, there is this blog. It's called Growing Hop. You can probably just Google that and find it as well. It's a brief guide to getting started with human and organizational performance. And it's most of what I'm going to pull from for this episode. And really, it's the story of working on this stuff internally and then adding the bits and pieces of now doing this externally as a consultant. There's a lot of great stuff over there, from the roadmap to just some basic stuff that if you're getting started here or you're in the middle of your journey and you're feeling kind of stuck, it's a great blog. We've got a couple on it over there. All of those blogs getting like thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Make sure you go check that out. It's a great supplement to what we're going to be talking about today. But what I really, really, really want to stick to is just kind of the main points of this, because we could be here for forever talking about the HOP journey. I just posted something on LinkedIn the other day talking about the HOP journey. Avery and I had picked up a cookbook, and it's a cool cookbook. It's called Food to Die For. And it's recipes and stories from America's most legendary haunted places. Now, if you're into like history and old places, okay, nerd checkbox for me. Yep. Old places, check history, checkbox for me. Yep. Total nerd out on that stuff. Yep. Ghost stories. I would call them more tall tales, but a nerd. Yeah. A nord. I'm a nord for that kind of folklore for sure. And the book is beautiful. Check. It's great. It's a great cookbook full of awesome, cool old recipes. And Avery had decided out of this cookbook, she took it and I'm like, here, I got this for us. Check it out. And she loved it. And she went through with all those little, she's always got that, the coolest office supplies that she buys for school. I don't know how she buys these. I'm going to have to look at my Amazon cart. I think she's sneaking in some purchases somewhere along the way, unless she's applied and obtained a credit card, which is, I guess, not outside of the realm of possibility. But she always has the coolest office supplies, and she's got these little page markers that just clip on the top, right on the top of those things. They are cinema roll, so I don't know if that resonates with you. If you've got young ones, cinema roll probably resonates with you a bit. If it doesn't, just skip it. It's not worth the Google. But she had marked the pages. We took the book. She picked out her ingredients at the grocery store around the corner. We came back a few weekends back prior to recording this at least, and we cooked some of her recipes. Now, what she cooked, Chef Avery created a beautiful tomato soup, and she also created a beautiful pecan ball thing, which is these toasted pecans, toasted in butter and delicious, and then these deep freeze ice cream balls that you roll in that. She created those, but what made those special is she also took another recipe out of that book for this scratch-made fudge sauce. And she dressed plates with that and put those on there. My God, delicious. The tomato soup came from Big Nose Kate's Saloon here in Tombstone, Arizona, a place that we really like going and checking out. And this recipe was first published in 1882 in the Arizona Daily Star. So a pretty cool recipe. The other two, I keep wanting to go back and forth between pecan and pecan. I think pecan is the official way of saying it. Now, my Texas friends, I think when you're in Texas, it's pecan, right? I don't know. I'm from the mountains, and we call them pecans. And when I say pecans, people call me a hillbilly, but I'm sticking with it. So if I say pecan or pecan, I think you know what I mean. I think both are correct is what I'm saying in my book. It's just according to where you're at. But yeah, we created those things, and it was an absolute blast, absolutely delicious. But while we're cooking, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this stuff because I can't not think about this stuff. It's just part of being a nerd, especially a nerd for hop. But as we adapted our way through these recipes, we were doing this kind of normal cooking dance of, okay, start that. Okay, no, leave that one off for now. We've got too much going on. We can't pay attention to that pot at the same time. We can, right? You're pulling things together with timing and balance. Art. It's freaking art, right? Leave that on a little bit longer. I know it said only leave it on for 5, but those aren't quite where they need to be. Leave them on for just a little bit. Oh, we forgot that freaking ingredient. Dang it. Use this instead. Oh man, we forgot to put that in. We're done. Maybe we can add a little bit of this, and that brings that. I don't know. Taste it. Figure it out. We'll figure it out. It really got me thinking about work. And in particular, it really got me thinking about the hop journey. Now, there's obvious comparisons there that we know. Oh, work as done, work as imagined, adaptations, errors, outcomes, like all this flexibility. Like we've got a plan. We're not following it rigidly. We're adapting our way through, and we created some stinking amazing outcomes. But if you don't follow the plan, oh my God, all that kind of stuff. But that's not really where my mind went. Those are obvious. Those are very obvious. My mind went to the hop journey. It went to the hop journey. And human and organizational performance is not a program to manage. Boom. Let's say it again. Human and organizational performance is not a program. Boom. Period. You can't treat it like it is. You can't treat it like every other freaking safety thing that you've rolled out. You can't say, we've got a strategic framework of hop excellence. We've done it on our whiteboard. We got 72 levels of approval up through our organization, exactly how this is going to happen at the exact time. And then we're going to go this how it's going to be perfect. And no, it doesn't work that way. It's an operating philosophy. We know the definition of human and organizational performance. We talked about this. Human and organizational performance is a collection of better thoughts, ideas, beliefs, and assumptions from diverse and varying sources that we apply through the lens of a core set of principles. You can't just come up with, I'm going to roll out better beliefs and assumptions into my organization. Good luck. It doesn't work that way. Human and organizational performance is not a program, but you should have a plan. Does that make sense? You should have a plan, right? So why? Because you don't want to be going for a delicious and moist chocolate tort and end up with a fruit tart. Nobody wants a freaking fruit tart. Blah. Yeah, pass. You don't want to be going for that tomato soup and then end up with tomato poop. You just don't. You don't want to be going for those beautiful. Here we go. You ready? Pecan. You don't want to be going for those delicious pecan balls and that fudge sauce and then come up with tomato flavored ice cream with gravy. I don't know. You need to have a bit of a plan. You need a blueprint, a playbook, a roadmap, a recipe. You need the right tools. You need to know the right ingredients. You need to know what ingredients you have on hand and what you need to go pick up and what ingredients are way past their expiration date. You need to know what you got in your fridge currently, what you need to go get, and you got to bring all that together with some timing, the right timing, the best timing that you can come up with. Now, with all this recipe, the right tools, the right ingredients, the right timing, some of this you plan for, but a lot of it you have to learn along the way. So you need a flexible and adaptable recipe tailored to your organization, where it's currently at and where you want to go. You need to learn where you're currently at, what ingredients you have, where you want to go, what do you want to create? And then, build your plan. Build the bones of your recipe, but you can't follow it blindly. You can't follow it too strictly. You need to taste and adapt and tweak and tune your way through it. You need to push some stuff out and pull some stuff in. Don't get so obsessed with this. This has to be done by November. This has to be done by November. My God, we told the vice president this has got to be done by November. We're all going to get fired. Oh my God. Our plan of strategic excellence is crumbling. We'll just don't do that. Don't panic. It's a flexible plan. It's not this strict, rigid something. If you plan to do it in November, hold on, I got pumped. I'm going to take some cold brew. You ready? Okay, great. It's not going to happen in November. We learned a lot since then. Yeah, we've learned a whole bunch. We need to push this out a little bit. We need to invest our time and resources into a different part of this journey because we've learned that that's what we need to do. Don't just stick with it and run yourself into the rocks. Keep that recipe, that plan, that blueprint, that roadmap a bit flexible. So don't follow it blindly. Learn your way through the journey. Tweak, tune, adjust, micro-experiment, try, storm, test. If we're keeping it in the vein of a recipe, taste it. Give it a shot. See if it's tasting about right. Listen a whole bunch and work your way through it. A flexible and adaptable recipe. A flexible and adaptable recipe, which brings me to the point where we started our hop journey, working internal to the organization that I worked for way back when. I think just a couple interesting notes, and I'm going to pull these from the article again. You can go check those out at thehopnerd.com. Just click the blog, scroll down until you see Growing Hop, or just Google Growing Hop, the Hop Nerd. You'll find it pretty easy. We didn't know what we were doing was called hop, which I think is a really important thing to put here. Is we get obsessed with what we call crap, the next poster we're going to put on our wall, the next plaque that we're going to put up, the next flag we're going to hang, right? We get really obsessed with like the marketing of stuff. And I'm not saying that that doesn't have any importance to you at some point in your journey, but that's not where you should start. Come on, right? Like we know how these efforts go. We've got a bright idea. We got a great idea. Call me the designers. Call me the marketing people. Call me our internal comms people. We need a logo. We need a logo. We need a logo. Someone hurry, get me a logo. As soon as we get the logo, someone order pizzas. Get pizzas. Get pizzas. And now I want every leader standing in front of the gate with balloons and pastries and pizzas telling people that we're doing this new thing. Get them all new lanyard tags. Get new posters for this and new signs for that. I want it on the digital sign out front, the one that we face towards the highway so that even the public knows what we're doing. Why? We know, like that feels good, is highly visible. It feels like we're making some change, but we know how that goes with a lot of our other change efforts. We do that, and what happens? A lot of nothing. It looks like we're doing stuff. It looks like it, yeah, but we're not doing a lot. So when we started this, we didn't start with any of that. We didn't even know that this crap was called hop. Long before then, our change efforts started as these closed door, really secret conversations with like-minded folks in the organizations from throughout the organizations. We referred to them as our secret squirrel conversations. These conversations were secret because a lot of the stuff that we would discuss, we had no rules around. Everything was on the table. And much of what was on the table would have got us labeled as bad in this organization, especially from leaders up in the organization, not taking things seriously enough, being uncaring. You don't believe in Vision Zero. You are not allowed to be here anymore because you don't care enough about safety. We'd have been demoted or fired, more than likely. But what we would do is we'd get these folks together, we'd shut the door, and we'd have real conversations, and we would tinker, and we would dream a little bit. From this dreaming would lead to a bit of planning. We would share ideas and book recommendations, and we would vent about things that were happening in the company, but we would talk change. We didn't realize it in that moment, but we were setting the stage for transformational change. And these conversations grew over time. They grew and grew. And some of the funniest people ended up there, like vice presidents that felt the same way that we did, that couldn't really say the things that maybe they wanted to say for the same reasons that we just talked about. Directors and higher level managers and frontline folks all over the map. Now finding this little group of allies, this little group of folks that's like, we need to do things different. Everything's on the table. Let's talk about it. They found their voice. Really, they found a place where they could be courageous. And we drove change. We absolutely drove change. So pretty soon, these secret conversations grew and grew. We didn't realize that we were doing things a bit backwards, right? Maybe to more normal change efforts, something that we refer to kind of as the Great Squeeze now. And that organization, we referred to it as guerrilla style, right? This underground grassroots effort, which then quickly, as leaders in this movement within the organization, as practitioners, hop practitioners in this organization, we then quickly looped in the executives and got them on board, which then allowed the pointy end of the organization and the bluntest end of the organization to squeeze this change effort throughout the organization, which worked extremely well. So maybe not so backwards when we say it all out loud. Hold on. I'm getting all excited here. The hop journey is just something that gets me pumped, and I'm yelling and screaming. So sorry if I blew up your AirPods on my last little kind of vent there. But back to some of the key points. Don't worry about what you call it. Don't worry about what you call it. Right? And we'll get to finding those allies here in just a second. And we already mentioned this as well. Do not approach these concepts with a traditional mindset. Don't try to force fit hop into your organization. Don't try to bolt it onto your organization. Don't try to drive it down through your organization to your front line. Hop is an operating philosophy. You grow human and organizational performance within your organization by reshaping organizational assumptions and beliefs over time. And you do that mostly up through your organization. I had Steve Scott on not that long ago, trying to get Steve back on the pod, which will happen very soon before we do our Hop and Operational Learning Workshop in Las Vegas on October 8th and 9th. Again, hopandoperations.com/event if you want to learn more. But he mentioned this quote, and he said that it came from the Toddster and Todd Conklin, and I don't doubt that. I think it most certainly did, and I love this quote. It's a really good point as we're talking about not doing this down through to the folks within your organization. You know, the general rule of thumb that Steve gave during this podcast and this quote from Todd was that for every hour that you spend talking to your frontline about hop, you should spend about 4 or 5 talking to your leaders about hop. So talking up through your organization instead of down. When you have this conversation with frontline folks, they say, duh. Thank God. I don't believe you yet, but thank God somebody's finally saying it. But we've been telling you this for years. Yeah. So don't approach it with that more traditional safety program, something, rollout posters campaign. Just don't. Just don't. Now, some planning considerations prior to beginning your journey. I dropped 3 on you, and there's some other folks out there that have some more and some different stuff, and that's great. That's great. But the 3 that I'm really concerned with, number 1 is organizational readiness. Number 2 is bright spots. Number 3 is employee involvement. Again, this is all available over in the article. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get caffeinated. It's super early in the morning, and I don't know, after my last outburst, I don't know that I need it, but I'm going to keep drinking the coffee. Yeah. Seek to understand where your organization is currently at, the current state, the current lived reality of your particular organization, and define where it is that you want to go. Organizational readiness. Bright spots. Who's leading or has a strong desire to lead in this direction? Find these people, get them together, and set them up for success by providing them adequate time, resources, and support to take on the task. Now, what I'm saying here is that, people have to do the work of this stuff. It doesn't just magically happen. A lot of this in a lot of organizations I spend time, whether right or wrong, falls in the lap of your safety folks. It just is what it is. It really is. But don't just look there. Don't say this is a safety thing, because hop's not a safety thing. Yeah, it helps safety quite a bit, but it's not just a safety thing. If you just keep it a safety thing, you're minimizing your investment stuff. We've talked about, go back through the podcast. Yeah. But find these bright spots. Find these folks that have this desire, this determination to make things better, and support them. Somebody's got to do the work of it. Now, employee involvement. Involve your employees. Operational learning should be a golden thread through your entire journey. Involve these folks, listen to them, learn from them, and be sure to make sure that their voice, their ideas, their thoughts, that shines through in where you're going. And whatever your, air quotes here, right, end result, whatever reality you're trying to shape in your organization, make sure their voice helps to shape it, or you're kind of defeating the purpose. So let's unpack these a little bit. But organizational readiness, as we said, where is your organization currently at? Seek to understand the current lived reality of your particular organization. Define where it is that you hope to go, what reality you hope to create. This assessment of organizational readiness will allow you to start this off on a bespoke foot, a customized approach. There's no off-the-shelf something with this stuff, y'all. You know this. If somebody comes along and says, I've got an off-the-shelf hot program for you, all the thing you got to do is just plug it into your organization, they're lying to you. They are. I don't mean to say something that's very pointed. at people out there. But I can't think of really many, if any, folks in our kind of world of hot practitioners that are going to just say, hey, listen, just buy this. I'll send you the PDFs and then you go do it and it works. It's great. That's not how any of this works. We're shaping growing better beliefs, better assumptions, deeply rooted, underlying beliefs and assumptions within an organization over time. That's not something that you just take and plug in. It just doesn't work that way. So this assessment helps you to understand where you're at, the things that you as an organization really need to work on, the things you need to work on now, the things you need to work on tomorrow, and the things you need to work on 5 years from now. This helps you shape that recipe that we spent a bunch of time talking about. I love food, so I'm going to keep the recipe analogy. I'm just going to keep it rolling. This lets you know what ingredients you have, that are spoiled, what ingredients that you have that you might not need, right? What ingredients you have that you're putting in the pot currently that are actually souring the pot and making things far worse. It lets you know what you need to go get down the street at Fry's or whatever grocery store you use, Kroger. There you go. Piggly Wiggly. I don't know. Whichever's your favorite. Whole Foods is amazing, but they are freaking pricey, y'all. Come on. But whatever you need to go get, it lets you know. And then you can start to build in some of that timing into this recipe. What needs to happen now? What needs to happen later? What ingredients do it? And on, right? This gets you started on a sure footing. So a bit of a side story here. Again, all contained over in the article if you want to check it out at thehopnerd.com. Within my organization, we did this by having deliberate conversations with people throughout the organization. We found our bright spots a bit first, and we kind of had those already there from our super duper secret squirrel conversations. We knew some of our bright spots. Now, we armed them with some better questions. We came up with a loose, standardized set of questions, very loose, giving them the autonomy to go wherever they needed to go. But here's some ideas. Here's some places that we're really curious about, some rocks we think we need to turn over. Turn some of those over, and if there's nothing under those rocks, just keep going. Right? And we prepared them with those questions, and we sent them out throughout the organization to sit down for face-to-face conversations with roughly 15% of the company. Now, where did we get 15%? We went, and you know that sound, that's me picking 15% out of thin air. 15% sounded good. Yeah, and this was a mixture. This wasn't safety folks going out and having these conversations. Some of them were. This wasn't performance improvement or traditional HP folks going out and having these conversations. Some of them were, or corrective action program people or leaders. Some of them were all of those things, sure, but not all. Like we had a couple safety folks, and we had a truck driver, and we had this person and that mechanic and this operator, and from all over the organization, all the different business units, all different walks of life within the organization, all different vantage points within the organization, all going out and having these conversations with their peers and their leaders and everyone. We had these conversations everywhere from the boardroom all the way down to the sharpest of the sharp line and everything in between, roughly 15%. What's really interesting here, a couple interesting notes from these conversations, and I think this is a great approach. It is a great way to go discover operational reality, your current lived reality within your organization. It takes some time. It took us some months, but it, to me, is the way to do it. It's just you don't get these stories with the survey. We did some surveys. We coupled it with some surveys. We coupled it with some data from the organization. We coupled it with all those different things, of course, but this was the main thing. We wanted the real story. We wanted to capture that story. And we did just that. But some interesting notes here. Many of the high-level leaders had no idea just how brutal things were down through the organization. I mean, the exact quote lines right up with, everything looked great from here. So this was a massive lift for us as a group of bright spots. But it provided us with tons of operational information, the real deal story of normal everyday work, and it opened many eyes to the need for change up through our organization. Another really interesting point here is that as we captured this information, we focused on capturing the story, not data, the story, and then telling that story extremely well up and throughout the organization. So up and throughout, we're not just taking this to VPs, we're sharing this story openly with everyone in the organization. So telling the story and telling it extremely well in all directions. So this initial learning effort, this initial wave of operational learning also resulted in a greater understanding of the executive perspective down through the organization as well, along with that frontline perspective, as we mentioned, up through the organization. The executives no longer viewed the frontline employees as a problem to manage, as uncaring or as lazy, as always trying to get something over on the company that they just don't care as much as me because I'm the VP. How could they care as much as me? No one cares as much. And the frontline no longer viewed the executives as, evil monopoly people, like the monopoly man with a monocle sitting up in the office, sipping their scotch and smoking their cigars and plotting how to make employees' lives miserable. We had a mismatch, right? We just didn't understand each other because there'd never been this level of storytelling and transparency throughout the organization. So really quickly, both of these kind of polar opposites, extremes, I guess, in the organization quickly realized that they were not polar opposites, that they cared about the same things, that they cared about the company, that they wanted the company to succeed, that they all gave a damn, and they all gave a lot of damn. Yeah, they just understood each other better, and it helped us come together and understand that there was a need for change in this organization. It helped us to, right out of the gate, bridge a bunch of misunderstandings by developing, as you know, what we refer to as industrial empathy. We would seek to understand, and we would learn so very much in all these different directions that we could easily see ourselves in each other's shoes. It was just the start of this massive effort, but it got things off on the right foot, and it let us know current lived operational reality in our organization. Back to our recipe. It helped us build our recipe based on operational reality rather than best guesses. Now, I'm coming to core team creation now, as we mentioned, back to our initial planning considerations. But as I said before, we had already kind of developed this. You might need to be a bit more deliberate in this. Who are your internal champions? Those knowledgeable and passionate folks that will help you bring about this change. Somebody's got to do the work of it, especially at the beginning. Often I find in organizations that whether we're talking about HOP or Safety 2 or Safety Differently or just making things better, which is probably the right frame to look at it through, but we're going to keep the HOP term. I find that these HOP folks live there and they just don't know that they're HOP folks. And what I mean by that, take a hard look at this list of human and organizational performance principles that we talk about so much, these 10 ideas, these tenets of safety differently, these better beliefs and assumptions. Take a good hard look at those and then close your eyes and think about the people within your organization that are, whether they realize it or not, already living and or leading by these principles. I bet a few faces came to mind. Those are the first few names of your HOP champions. Now, don't go so, hey, you're going to be my HOP champion. Go ask. Do stuff with people, not to them. Maybe the 10 ideas to make safety circle. That's all right, yeah. But those are probably your starting points. And then grow that little team of HOP champions. Find these people, get them together, set them up for success, provide them with adequate time, resources, and support to take on this task. Find those people and then go to that organizational readiness piece that we just mentioned. Have those folks lead that effort. Have those folks come up with that group of folks that are going to go out and have those conversations in your organization. It doesn't have to be as big and crazy and strategic as ours was. We're dealing with an organization that had 7,500, 8,000 people, something like that. We needed a bit of a, I won't call it a rigid plan, but we needed that framework, right? We needed a really, really good recipe to be able to make all of this happen. So just think through what that looks like for you. Can you do it with a bit of a survey? Sure. Do I think you should stop by just sending people an email survey? No. Go out and talk to people. Go out and do some learning explorations. Get people in a room with some flip charts, with some of the folks that you know are good facilitators. Learn your current lived operational reality and get a diverse viewpoint of that. Get a good cross-section of the organization and use that as your starting point for planning. Use those bright spots, that core team that we just talked about, to facilitate, to do that. Now, our next consideration is employee involvement. How are you going to place your workforce at the center of this change? This is how you're not doing stuff to people or for them, you're doing stuff with them. How are you going to ensure that they have a voice, that their voice is heard, that their voice shines through? Be super cautious because we get frustrated and we want to do HOP to our organizations. Slow your roll. Don't do that. It ends bad. You can really avoid this just by thoroughly, at every step of the way, involving your workforce in the change efforts. Don't just get and say, yeah, this will be fine. Go talk to people. Really, spend time with them. Involve your employees. Listen to them. Learn from them. Make sure you hear their ideas. Give their ideas a shot. Make sure that they shine through in the results of your efforts. Another side story. The people in our organization had heard this before. and not hop, but they had heard this same song and dance of change, of making things better. They've been watching it for years. You can't fault them for needing a little proof. They needed proof. Yeah, sure, you're going to listen to me. I've brought this up 37 times before, and it never. We had to prove it. We had to prove it early on in our journey if we wanted to even stand a chance of catching a little bit of traction. So as we did this operational learning, back to those learning explorations that we did, those listening sessions, really listening sessions on steroids through a bit of a hop lens, we aggressively pursued quick wins. And this is a bit of a more traditional change, earning street cred tactic, but you know this. We didn't ignore crap. We didn't ignore crap. They said this is broken, we'll fix it. That's what we did. If it's broke, fix it. What's that book? There's a book like Move Fast and Fix Things. That's kind of what we did. We involved and empowered those nearest to the work to teach us, learning more and creating improvements with them through the use of learning explorations and listening sessions and learning teams. And we made damn sure that if something impacted them or their crews, they had a seat at the table. Their voice would be heard. So to the point, we really stopped doing crap to them. We stopped doing stuff for them, and we started doing things with them. And we aggressively pursued these improvement strategies. Quick wins, we would knock them out like, boom, got it. They don't have that, got it. Fixed it, boom, on to the next. Fixed it. Ooh, that's a bit of a monster. Let's get some more ideas. Let's get a more formal learning team together. Let's figure this out together. And we would do that. We'd figure it out together. Let's micro-experiment it, and let's bring those ideas to life. Maybe that wasn't a quick fix or a quick win, but we already got those done. Well, those are out of the way. We've got plenty of time now. Let's figure this big, scary monster out, and we would do just that. So those are the main planning considerations in my mind. As we said, organizational readiness, bright spots, employee involvement. Now, as we've mentioned a ton, it is more of a flexible framework, a recipe more than a rigid plan. If you want a copy of this little roadmap that we use a bunch, it's over at thehopnerd.com. I think it's under resources. You can find it there. It's definitely in the blog because I'm staring at the blog right now using this as the notes for our conversation here, but it's right there. You can download it and take it with you. But as far as the plan itself, we start with planning and interest. Where's your organization currently at? Now, I even rewind this a bit. We've got another roadmap that we use quite a bit with folks that are early on in their hop journey, or maybe not even to their air quotes here hop journey yet, where we build in this idea of seeking to understand where you're currently at, right? These listening sessions, learning explorations, all those things, that's really where we start. And then we move into planning and interest, right? So you've got to gain those crucial allies up and throughout your organization. We move into building hop fluency and operational learning and alignment and safeguard management. And as we said, we place operational learning here after building hop fluency, but it's not an after. It's really at the same time. It's a golden thread that extends throughout your change efforts. So as we said, leadership interest, planning, all those different things, planning interest, building hop fluency, operational learning, alignment, and then eventually getting to safeguard management. So with leadership interest, we have to gain those allies up through the organization and all the nooks and crannies of the organization. Really, we need a seat at those tables. What this looks like in real life of building relationships with leaders, having good conversations, meaningful conversations with leaders, mentoring leaders, teaching these hot concepts to leadership, making a case for change sometimes. Yeah. And so you think about that little story that I shared with you around gaining operational information, operational reality. Talk about building a case for change. They just didn't realize the closer you got to the sharp end, how brutal things were for our employees. And then obviously a shameless plug here, possibly bringing in outside resources. Yeah. For those keynotes and those conversations. The old saying is you can't be a prophet in your own land. And I get it. It doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me, but I understand. We did this in our organization. We would bring in some amazing folks. We brought in some amazing folks to help us have some of these conversations, not just with their leaders, but down and throughout our organization. Now, building hop fluency is really the education component of your journey, the conversational part of your journey, embedding these concepts and ideas into your organization, teaching things like hop fundamentals and providing folks with hop information sessions, lunch and learns, learning team fundamental training, and all the different things like, okay, we're talking about doing things different, but how do we do things different? those type of sessions, really even down to things like shifting organizational messaging towards human and organizational performance. Those things count. We pretend that those things don't count. But I can tell you as a person, as a practitioner working within an organization, I did not pass up an opportunity to talk about HOP. If you said, "Hey, I need you to write me this something for the online news mailer thing that goes out, whatever it is," you can guess what it's going to be about. You could say, "I want you to write about this really cool blood drive that we did." I totally would, but it's going to have some type of HOP underpinnings to it. Our executives really leaned on us. Like, I wrote this. This is what I'm trying to say. Help me say it. Help me say it. And we did a lot of critiques in a really positive way. These kind of review sessions before we would send things out en masse to the organization to make sure that we're using the right words, we're setting the right tone, we're using the right language. That helps a lot. And then, as we said, operational learning. We built HOP Fluency. You've probably already got some facilitators within your bright spots that are already starting to facilitate operational learning in your organization. But this is really where we start to grow operational learning, that mechanism of capturing operational learning, such as learning teams. We're starting to use learning teams and learning explorations more and more and more and more. And we're starting really to pour the majority of our focus into gaining context-rich information. The old answers, things like somebody's dumb and messed up, they just don't work anymore for us. They're just not palatable, down, up, sideways, throughout the organization. It just doesn't work. And we're not just doing that post-event, we're doing that pre-event, we're doing that around interesting work and just normal, everyday, usually successful work. You'll usually start to see more and more independent use of learning teams throughout the organization. People will start to bring you learning teams that they did on their own. Don't panic. That's good. That's a really good thing. And just this increasing curiosity about how things normally get done, how things are normally successful. Which brings us to the alignment part of this. At a certain point in your maturity in this journey, it's time to really think about how we build HOP in to our processes, into our procedures. Really, we're getting to the point of this is just how we do business. It's not HOP. It's not differently. It's not this. It's not that. It's just us. It's our operating philosophy. It's just how we do business. Sometimes this comes with a healthy dose of decluttering as well, getting rid of things that when you try to filter them through those principles, they just don't work. We're tweaking and tuning those things to really be in line with those principles, or just sometimes getting rid of crap that you just don't need anymore, to move things forward by parting ways with things that just can't be brought into alignment. So this looks like reviewing. I know this is the fun work. Right. Altering processes, reviewing programs, bringing them into alignment with these principles, these better beliefs, these better assumptions, embedding HOP principles and learning mechanisms into our processes, building in these feedback loops to touch into sharp end reality, decluttering of rules and processes and programs, the elimination of rules and processes and programs that can't be brought into alignment, and really creating a HOP framework for our organization to ensure that HOP is sustainable over time. So as your bright spots get poached to go to other organizations or other departments within your organizations, or they leave and start consulting firms, which I guess it's not a firm, the Hop Nerd LLC, back to that whole funny CEO thing, or they leave. They leave to go help spread this message beyond your organization. How do you make sure that you're still a HOP company? That's all of what we just talked about there. Build it in, bake it in, create that framework, make sure that everything is baked in with those HOP principles, those better beliefs, those better ideas, those better assumptions. Which then to me leads us towards safeguard management. This is critical risk, life-saving controls, those type of things. We've got operational learning functioning well. We not only have those principles out there, but we're pretty stinking great at leading through them. So operational learning is not only possible now, but it is likely. We're learning more than what we ever have before. Of course, we're pouring a lot of that information into just making things better, just making things easier, betterment, just organizational improvement overall. We're growing the stuff that we're great at, but what about the shit that kills us? This is where safeguard management comes in. We're learning so much more about operational reality that we're discovering under controlled areas of critical risk, undiscovered areas of critical risk in the past. So we're creating and we're bettering life-saving controls and safeguards. We're bettering the designs of our system. We have ongoing operational learning really focused on critical risk, the stuff that kills and maims people. So those are the main kind of little points on your roadmap. Start with the things that we talked about: organizational readiness, bright spots, and employee involvement. Then think about what that framework looks like, which is just typical. It's not a have to, but this is kind of how it plays out. You've got operational learning as a through line, right? It's working all the way through whatever this plan looks like. You're constantly learning, checking, adjusting, adapting your way through, learning operational reality. That way our plans are built on operational reality rather than operational fantasy. But planning and interest, building hot fluency, really getting stinking great at operational learning at this point, alignment and safeguard management. I will tell you that you'll find these considerations, these phases of human and organizational performance planning, these phases that originally come from an article, I think published at safetydifferently.com by Andrea Baker. And you'll find that these planning considerations in these 5 phases, they're really going to help you in plotting your journey, in building that flexible recipe. Put plenty of thought into these ideas before you get started, but don't get overly consumed or tied to rigid planning. There's not one right way to bring about these changes. There is not a true guidebook, playbook. There's not one right recipe. Back to Avery's tomato soup. There's probably a million different recipes to make some stinking great tomato soup. Plot a course, build your recipe, start moving in that direction. Keep your plan flexible and understand that it will change along the way. There's a lot of stuff you can plan for, but just understand that that plan's going to change, and it's probably going to change a lot because there's a lot of that plan you have to learn as you go. The easy place to start for me is back to those learning explorations, those listening sessions that we talked about at the very beginning with our little group of bright spots, going out, having those conversations within our organization. If you really want a place to start by seeking to understand current lived operational reality within your organizations. Now, a couple final points that I want to leave you with that I feel that are just really important to say. Number 1, temper your expectations. This crap is slow. So don't get all amped up and think you're going to do it in 6 months. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. Temper your expectations. Understand that this stuff is slow and it takes time, and you're going to be doing great one day. Your organization is going to regress the next day. It's going to be up and down. It's a roller coaster ride. Enjoy the ride. Just hang on. Enjoy the process. The next thing is stick to the principles. No matter where your organization finds itself on its journey, keep those 5 hot principles at the heart of your efforts. Lean into those better beliefs and assumptions. Lean into those concepts that we talk about. Lean into those 10 ideas. When things get challenging, lean into them that much harder. When we start to move backwards, lean back into them that much harder. When things get weird, lean into them that much harder. When you're unsure what to do, allow the principles, these concepts, these ideas to guide you. They're not going to steer you wrong. I think we've baked this other point in, but your company is unique. Your plan, your approach needs to be unique. There's not an off-the-shelf something that's going to work for you. Embrace this uniqueness. It's what makes your company great. Heck, it's what makes you cool. Embrace this uniqueness and let it shine through in your plan and how you bring these ideas to life within your work world. Take these ideas while sticking to the underlying assumptions, beliefs, these principles, and creatively apply them within your organizations. Innovate. Now, the very last thing that I want to share with you here is this, and I've ranted about it a bunch before, and I'm going to rant about it very briefly, because we're pushing up on an hour. This is a long one for us. I'm sorry if this is not your cup of tea, but it's important information as we continue to have this conversation around the basics. We're on part 4 now. Hold on, that warrants some cold brew. Perfection doesn't exist. You thought the episode was going to be over. It doesn't. I see so often, especially in our big old organizations. I'm not picking on your big old organizations, but we get very set in our ways, and we get so set in our ways that sometimes we would rather choose to not be a company anymore than change. But that's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going with this. We get so wrapped up in the planning, the perfection of it all, that if we make this plan and it doesn't play out just perfectly, just how we thought that it would, if there's any chance that things could go a little sideways or get a little weird, it's not even worth doing. So we're going to keep planning and keep planning and keep planning until we're damn well certain that this is going to go exactly how we hope for it to. And or we get out there and we've obsessed with this perfection thing. We've made this perfect strategic plan of HOP implementation excellence for our organization, and things start to go sideways, that we just ignore that things are going sideways, or we ignore the operational learning that we gain and we just stick to the plan because the plan is perfection. You get where I'm going. The point here is that don't let this desire for perfection, especially planning perfection, get in the way of you getting started. There's no perfect day to start. There's just not. There's no perfect plan. Perfection doesn't exist. Get started and experiment and figure your way through it. I see this so often where it's like, well, we need this perfect plan when everything is exactly, nope. You need the recipe, as we said. Yeah, you should know some timing. Yeah, you should know what ingredients you need. Yeah, you should know what ingredients you got. Yeah, you should be putting some thought into how those things come together and how the best way that you can bring those together is to create something that's delicious. Yeah, so you get the tort. You get the tort instead of a tart. Yeah, and nobody wants that fruit tart. What do they even put in the bottom of those? It's like vanilla, what is that, pudding and some blueberries? Come on. Everybody wants the tort. That way, you know where you're at and where you're going, but don't get so focused on trying to get it right. You're not. Nobody has. Sometimes we get it so wrong that we learn how to get it right. We get it so wrong that we become great at it. You gotta figure it out along the way. Build your recipe. Yep, use it as your guide, but be prepared. You're going to get it wrong. Things are going to go sideways. Things are going to get weird. When they do, lean into the principles. Pause, adjust, adapt, figure it out, move forward. Just get started. So there you go. This was part 4. I don't think, I've said this during every single one of these, I don't think that we're going to have a part 5. I don't know. Maybe I'll drag somebody in here for an interview to talk about a part 5. That might be a good way to go. I've got a few names that popped to mind, that might be cool to make a part 5 of Back to the Basics and the HOP journey and some of those things. I don't know, but I don't think there's going to be a part 5, but I said that there was going to be a part 4. I said there was going to be a part 3. I said, I didn't know if there's going to be a part 2, and here we are. So hang around and find out. If you need a hand on your HOP journey, let me know, thehopnerd@gmail.com. I've got a fancy email now too, office@thehopnerd.com. But thehopnerd@gmail is the easiest way to get a hold of me. And again, check out the website, thehopnerd.com. You can check out all the public events, such as the stuff I'm doing with Steve coming up here in October. If you sign up for the mailing list, you can see all the different places in the country that I'm visiting or around the globe. Just none of those planned, hopefully for the fall. Not to discourage you. If you need me to come to a beautiful beach somewhere, I'm more than happy to come there. It doesn't matter where it's at in the world. Really anywhere. We do this stuff globally. I do this stuff globally, and I'm happy to support you wherever you need. And I try my best to support you when you need it, because I'm super sensitive to your operations and the crap that you've got going on. I know, I get it. Been there, done that. If I got the date available, we'll make it happen. thehopnerd@gmail.com. Build your recipe. Go out and learn operational reality from your organization. Doesn't have to be all big, fancy pants and formal. Just go out and have great conversations with folks. Capture that information. Tell that story well throughout your organization. Use that operational reality as the beginnings of your recipe. Build that recipe. Keep it flexible. And know that it's going to change. What's the old saying? We plan, God laughs. That's what happens. Promise. And understand you're going to get it wrong. Everybody does. Sometimes we get it so wrong that we get pretty stinking great at it over time, and learn your way through. Follow that golden thread of operational curiosity and learning through what this change effort looks like for you. Until next time, it is Sam Goodman, the Hop Nerd, signing off. Love you. Mean it. Bye, everybody. Bye. for listening, everybody. We greatly appreciate all of your support of the Hop Nerd Podcast, the Hop Nerd LLC. If you need a little bit of help of bringing human and organizational performance to life, if you would like to take your efforts around learning and improving to the next level, yep, I can help with that. Head over to www.thehopnerd.com or send me an email, thehopnerd@gmail.com. Until next time, bye, everybody. Bye.